My ex prioritized his stepdaughter over our daughter for years. Now it's almost time for my little girl's birthday, and my ex says he won't come unless his stepdaughter is invited. Posted by you/throwaway_icicle. For the last few months, I, 32F, have been planning my daughter's, Rose, fake name, 13th birthday. For her birthday, I've been organizing a week-long trip to Greece. Rose has been obsessed with Greece for the longest time and has been begging to go there forever. Now, I've finally saved enough to give her a special birthday. The problem, however, is with my ex, Alex. Ever since I started planning the trip, he's been pushing for me to invite his stepdaughter, Mary. For some context, Alex and I broke up a few years after Rose was born due to cheating during the pregnancy. We lost touch for a year or two before he came back asking to be in Rose's life. I agreed to co-parent with him, and things were going well, all things considered. That is, until he got married to his new wife, Sarah, who already had Mary from a previous relationship. Sarah and I get along really well, and so do Mary and Rose. The issue isn't with his new family but with Alex. Ever since he married Sarah, all his attention has gone to Mary. At first, I understood, he needed her to get comfortable with him being her new dad. But it's reached the point where he barely puts any effort into Rose. He's missed several of her important competitions and events, as well as her birthday, just because he had to take Mary to the dentist, pick her up from school, or take her to the movies. These are actual excuses he's given when I confronted him about his absence in Rose's life. I should clarify that I have no issues with Mary, I love the kid. My issue is with Alex acting like she's his only daughter. I've talked to him about this several times, and he always uses the excuse that Mary needs a dad too, then tells me to stop being selfish and to appreciate that he's in Rose's life at all. While planning for the birthday, I didn't invite Mary or Sarah deliberately so Alex could spend time with Rose on the trip. I even asked them beforehand if they were okay with this. Mary doesn't like traveling anyway, so they both agreed not to come. Alex, on the other hand, has been refusing to accept this and keeps pushing for me to invite Mary, saying it will be good for the girls to hang out. I've refused to budge, and it all came to a head last week when I asked Alex to confirm the dates, and he said he wasn't coming unless I invited Mary. I obviously said no, but he didn't back down. I finally had enough and told him that if he wouldn't come unless Mary came, then he shouldn't bother coming at all. He tried to argue, but I haven't spoken to him since. He's been blowing up my phone, but I honestly don't have the energy to deal with him. Some of my friends have been calling me, asking why I uninvited him, and saying I was acting like a BTCH. My mom agrees that he was being unreasonable but also said I was being cruel by kicking him off the trip entirely. My sister, however, agrees that he shouldn't come at all. I was very sure of my decision before, but now I'm starting to think I overreacted. I don't want Rose to think he doesn't care enough to come, but if I agree, he'll spend the entire trip with Mary. I know he will because he's done it before, and I don't think that's much better for Rose. Everyone is divided, and I need to be sure whether I'm overreacting. Am I being the jerk here? Edit. I was not expecting so many comments. I didn't expect this to gain as much traction as it did, and I am having some trouble answering them all since I won't be online for long. I hope this addresses your questions. The first question I'm seeing is whether my ex is Mary's dad. That wouldn't be possible. I have met her father, and she looks a lot like him too. Does my ex have bad intentions toward Mary? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I believe he thinks of her more like the daughter he has always wanted. They also share many interests. Are Mary and Sarah okay with all this? No, they have been trying to convince him to let it go, but my ex is very stubborn. I also asked them not to get involved so the drama would die down on its own. Is this what Rose wants? She really wanted her father to come. She loves the man a lot, but I will ask her since it is her trip and her choice. Would she want Mary to come? Yes. Rose looks up to Mary, and the two get along. Even without my or Sarah's involvement, they are naturally friends. As for the financials of the trip, I am paying for everyone since it was my idea to go. My mom and sister were originally coming, and I might just make it a girls' trip to avoid the drama. For now, thank you all for the support, as well as the valuable advice and insights. I feel much less stressed about this. I will have a chat with Rose and update you all when I can. Update 4 weeks later. Hello again, Reddit. I wasn't planning on updating, but since we're heading to Greece tomorrow, Rose asked me to share an update for those who are interested. I hope those curious about how things turned out are able to see this. A lot has happened since my last post, so I'll try my best to explain everything clearly. After my last post, I called Rose's therapist for advice on how to approach the situation. Following his advice, I sat down with Rose, explained everything, and even showed her the post. I reassured her repeatedly that none of this was her fault and apologized for making decisions without consulting her first. I told her to take her time processing everything and let her know I was ready to listen whenever she was. I'm glad I did so because, a few days later, Rose came to me with her thoughts. Giving her time to reflect really helped her articulate herself and think everything through. She decided not to invite her dad on the trip but was against cutting him off completely. While I initially disagreed, I respected her decision and didn't push the matter. We discussed a lot of other things, but I'd prefer to keep those private. I also suggested family therapy, which she agreed to, and I've booked sessions for next year. She will still be going to individual therapy, and so will I. I hope that it will help us communicate better and also help me make better decisions in the future as her mom. By the end of our talk, we shared a much-needed cry, which, I admit, I initiated, hugs, and then watched Mamma Mia. Side note, to the commenter who suggested the movie, thank you. Rose and I loved it so much that we watched the sequel the same day. It was the perfect choice to get us excited for the trip. We're thinking of watching it again at the end of the trip as well. Now, onto the drama. I reached out to Sarah and invited her over to talk about Alex. I showed her the post, including the comments concerned about Alex's relationship with Mary. While I didn't share those concerns, I wanted Sarah to decide for herself. As she read the post, she got to the part where I mentioned Alex's cheating. She was confused and asked what I meant. I explained how, during my pregnancy, I discovered texts and pictures from other women on Alex's phone. When confronted, he admitted to cheating because he wasn't ready to be a dad. That was why we broke up, and he disappeared for a while before returning to be part of Rose's life. Sarah was furious. According to her, Alex had told her I cheated on him, and that's why he wasn't involved in Rose's early years. He also claimed it was because he wasn't sure if she was his. Hearing this, I was livid. I've never been with anyone other than my ex, romantically or otherwise. Between raising Rose and building a career, I never had the time. Alex's lie didn't even serve a purpose since Sarah and I had always gotten along. After our conversation, Sarah assured me she was going to talk to Mary and confront Alex. A few days later, she called me crying, asking if Mary could stay with me for a while. I checked with Rose, and she was fine with it, so I agreed. From what Sarah told me, she confronted Alex about the real reason we broke up. During their argument, Alex became furious, possibly drunk, it's unclear, and hit her. Sarah had a visible bruise on her face when I arrived. I was and still am shocked by this. Alex had never been violent during our relationship and never even showed any signs of being violent. I'm still having trouble believing it's true, which I feel really bad about, considering how he left Sarah. A huge chunk of her face is swollen and bruised badly. He didn't just hit her, he punched her so hard that she said she thought he knocked her out. Sarah doesn't have family nearby, and Mary's father is away due to his job as a pilot. So, Mary has been staying with us while Sarah handles the situation. After hearing about what happened, Rose invited both Mary and Sarah on the trip, which is incredibly kind of her. My sister canceled anyway since she couldn't secure a sitter and didn't want to travel with the baby yet. So, it will be me, Rose, Sarah, Mary, and my mom. It's the same number of people as originally planned, so I didn't have to make new accommodations for them. As far as I know, Sarah hasn't made a report or anything yet, so Alex hasn't been arrested. As for why Alex wanted Mary to join the trip, his mom unintentionally told me everything. About a week ago, she called asking to see Rose before we left for the trip. I wasn't really keen on the idea, but I agreed as long as Alex wasn't there. During our visit, she rambled on about how Sarah's family made Alex feel unappreciated, how Mary didn't call him dad, and how Sarah's ex-husband was always showing him up. Basically, she went on a rant about her poor son, who everyone is against these days. Yes, you heard that right. This idiot was doing all this not because he cared about either of the girls but because he wanted to be better than Sarah's ex. I'm honestly still freaking pissed as I write this. He ruined his relationship with our daughter and used Mary to make himself look better than Mary's dad. I don't want to believe this is the case and that I'm misunderstanding, but it's something Alex can and has done before. I even talked to Sarah about it, and she agreed this might be the case. Although it's just speculation based on what his mom told me, it seems the most likely explanation since Mary has denied him being inappropriate with her. I have cut off Alex and his mom and told Rose we can revisit seeing him only after I have a legal custody agreement and child support in place. Both can take a long time, which I am grateful for. I'm hoping it will give Rose some time to think more about her relationship with her dad. Sarah has filed for divorce, which I am helping with. She and Mary have been through a lot. Thinking about how this whole thing started, it feels so silly. It's been a mess, but that's the update. Thank you to everyone who supported and advised me. Your insights were greatly appreciated. We're looking forward to our trip, and I'll be focusing on giving Rose the special birthday she deserves.